Gary Borger has brought together his skills as a fly fisherman, angling author, fly tyer, and professor of biology to become a respected fly fishing instructor. In this tape, Gary will show you dry fly tactics you can use on the waters you fish. You'll learn the most effective ways to take selective fish during a hatch and how to catch fish during hatchless periods. As Gary explains the characteristics and behavior of the fish's food organisms and relates this to fly selection and angling strategy, you'll come to see the dry fly in a new way through the window of the trout's world.
Stoneflies are fast water creatures because they require highly oxygenated water. The nymphs range in size from 1/2 inch to nearly 2 inches and live from 1 to 3 years. At maturity, they crawl from the stream and climb up on a rock or branch. This is an excellent time for nymph fishing. As it dries, the nymphal husk splits between the shoulders and the adult emerges. The adult is easily recognized, same size, color, and shape as the natural. The imitation must also give the same surface impression as the organism being imitated. This is a most important characteristic because trout use the surface impression to help distinguish a food item from other floating objects. In addition, the artificial fly must be constructed to float. A fly for use on this riffly water is usually dressed with lots of hackle and buoyant materials so the choppy currents don't sink it, and highly visible parts such as hair wings are often added to make the fly more easily seen by both fish. They have a larval stage that normally lasts for 1 year. These insects are readily recognized because they frequently build a case of sticks or small pieces of gravel in which to live. At maturity, the larva seals itself in its case and transforms to the pupal stage. After a couple of weeks, the transformation is completed and the pupa bursts free of the case and ascends rapidly to the surface. Once it arrives at the surface, it halts momentarily, the adult bursts free and flies off. Trout will follow these ascending pupa and feed at the film, where the consideration that determines line size is the fly that you use. And since many of the flies that are used on riffly water are very bushy, lines in the 5 to 7 weight category are better than lighter lines. You could consider a 6 weight as an all-around line for riffly water. A lot of anglers like brightly colored lines such as this one when fishing riffly water because it's ever so much easier to see out on that broken surface. I like a rod that's 8 to 9 feet long when fishing riffly water so that I have plenty of line control. That is, I can mend the line, I can lift it over fast currents and so on much more easily than I could with a shorter rod. I like a reel that has sufficient capacity for the fly line plus 50 yards of backing. This backing is 20-pound test braided Dacron, and it's an insurance policy for me. If I hook a big fish, it's probably going to take out more than just a fly line. It's going to run a long ways downstream, and I need that backing there, such as this one, that just can't be reached by wading upstream. So you've got to fish across stream. And drag is really a problem here. Because that's such a difficult spot to get to, not many anglers will try it. Let me show you some techniques that allow you to get into difficult spots like that. I'm going to use a reach mend to introduce slack, and then I'm going to mend the line on the water to get a nice drag-free float. Make a reach like that, and then as the line comes tight in the current, just keep mending it back upstream. Just lift the rod tip and flip that extra slack back upstream. Keep flopping it up there. Then reach your arm out as far as you can to get a nice long drag-free float. You got it. Oh, it's a nice rainbow. Look at him jump. Woo! Look at him go. Hot fish. Boy, that fish in that pocket water is exciting. Boy, those fish really take that fly. Bang, they got it. And then down they go. Remember to follow fish like this in this fast water because they'll pull off if you don't. Boy, that was a good run. Then getting that fast water, get your rod over to the side like this. Pressure them a little bit, get them into these quiet pockets along shore. Boy. Tough landing them in this kind of water because tough wading, tough moving. Come on there, fish. Boy, they really use that current to their advantage. Can't get him into this pocket of quiet water here. Ah. There he comes. And that's why I like to fish pockets. The heavy, swift flows of the Madison stand in strong contrast to the gentle, pastoral nature of this stream. This idyllic creek is reminiscent of the smooth-flowing streams of England where dry fly fishing began. Because the water is so clear and so smooth, you've got to be extra careful in approaching and presenting the fly to the trout. Every mistake you make here is an obvious one. The mayfly nymph normally lives in the stream for 1 year. When mature, it usually rises to the surface and crawls out on the film in preparation for the hatching of the adult. Imitations like this dry nymph must be tied to closely match the size, shape, color, and surface impression of the natural. As the adult begins to wiggle free from the nymphal husk, it's called an emerger. When the hatch is in full swing like it is now, trout usually switch over from the nymphs and begin taking emergers. This happens because emergers are so abundant and so easy to catch. Emergers from the nymphal husk is called a dun. It is readily recognized by its upright wings, which give it the look of a miniature sailboat. The wings of the dun are often gray, and the body is usually a dull color. For small duns, I fish a loop wing on riffly water and a no-hackle pattern on slow water. Medium-sized duns on fast currents are nicely imitated with a full-hackled fly, with or without wings. A parachute fly with a strong, upright wing silhouette is excellent on smooth currents. Flies hackled with deer hair or big parachute patterns are used for very large mayfly duns. Flies are so exciting to fish because you see that exact moment when the fish takes the fly. Think about the concepts I've discussed in this tape and practice the tactics I've shown you. Use them on the waters you fish. When the insects are hatching and the trout are rising, you'll be ready to share in the excitement of this matchless sport of dry fly fishing.